The Capture What You Can anti-seize package will require verifications for properties for those under investigation from not having paid taxes. Chancellor Merkel invites Prime Minister Albin Kurti to Berlin to advance a dialogue between Kosovo and Serbia. And Albanians reduce excessive spending, while necessary commodities increased by 1.5% in January. It's 6 o'clock on Saturday, the 8th of February, 2020. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Christopher, bringing you the only update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Persons who will have to declare their property as a result of the anti-seize package Capture What You Can will have to prove that their income does not originate from criminal activity. Verifications for properties will be comprehensive, even taking into account taxes that have not been paid over the years. In this case, they will require to pay arrears, a declaration Prime Minister Edi Rama has made over Facebook. To those convicted of trafficking drugs, human beings, and murder, and those accused of having escaped justice in cooperation with the KCK, let them prove before justice that their property is unrelated to these duties. If the property is a product of labor, they will only have to pay for the arrears. But if property derives from crime, it will be permanently confiscated. No sale or purchase of criminal property will be saved from confiscation. So far, the request for declaration of assets has been sent to several characters in Shkodra, Durrës, Elbasan, Lucia, and Fier. After completing the forms, the SPAC will have 15 days to complete the investigation, and the case will be sent to the special court for an official decision. The High Justice Inspectorate will begin its work by verifying bail files. Judges who, by their rulings, have been released on parole, sentenced to life in prison for serious criminal offenses, will be the first to be investigated by the High Justice Inspectorate. Artur Mitani, the newly appointed head of the ILD, in his first appearance for the media, said that in addition to publicly disclosed cases, there are many other cases to be investigated as they relate to a disturbing phenomenon. In exercising its constitutional functions and keeping in mind the public debate and concern over parole, will prioritize inspection in this regard. Apart from public names, there may be also the names that are not in public. I am concerned about the fact that this is a phenomenon. There are some courts where it has happened. The first inspection will be thematic to identify where this phenomenon is happening, and then it will make the cases public. Among the flagrant parole cases are those of Lulzim Berisha, Indrit Dokle. Part of the fire will be verdicts of the KPC and the KPA. I have requested the KPC and the KPA, the vetting bodies, to record their decisions where they have identified the disciplinary violations of judges and prosecutors who referred to them to the HJC or the IJC, and will also consider these decisions. The ILD will face a voluminous amount of work in addition to complaints being registered on February 1st, the day the institution started operating. The ILD has received 900 registered files before the institution was established. The ideal will forward a large number of approximately 900 appeals filed during the transitional period of 2017 to 2020 to the HJC or the General Prosecutor's Office. Meanwhile, from February 1st, 2020, when it is considered to be the start of the activity of this institution, they have started to come from legal or natural persons. A huge amount of work awaits us, Metana told reporters. But how are complaints processed? The complaints require a thorough analysis of the admissibility criteria, additional verifications, or the initiation of a disciplinary investigation. Metani likewise responded to allegations of seizing justice from the government, being that he is the brother of former Minister Eglantina Germani. Time is the best indicator of everything and the best judge of us all, Artur Metani said. In parallel with the law force operation, which focuses on alleged criminal assets, the state police have returned to flash action in various cities across the country. The focus is on looking people for various offenses and luxurious vehicles. 10 cars with problems of documentation were seized only in Gjirokastër, and 9 people were taken into the police station. Similar operations took place in Saranda, Fier, Elbasan, and Korça. In Saranda, the Rapid Initiative Force action focused on Qafgjasht. The 3 groups of Tirana RIF are located in Korça and are conducting strict controls in cooperation with the city police. Experts consider the new enlargement methodology of the European Union as a positive step for our country. Albania's European movement leader Gledis Gjipali says this methodology unblocks the stalemate between member states, while, according to him, increases economic support for reforms. The leader of Albania's European movement, Gledis Gjepali, says the first positive impact is the fact that it unblocks and moves countries out of position that had previously vetoed it, citing France as an example. The methodology has a number of new elements that are positive, such as more politicization of the process through the introduction of member states during the negotiations, involvement in negotiations, involvement in the evaluation and monitoring of Albania's and other countries' reforms. We will be less likely to face negative surprises, such as a block by France, when countries move in with parallel to the Commission and then find much opposition between each other. The new methodology enhances the monitoring of aspirant countries and guarantees a more realistic assessment. In addition to the annual report from the European Commission, it is suggested to introduce an intergovernmental conference every year after the publication of this report, which will evaluate in detail the areas where positive development has been achieved and where areas there have been no good developments and regressions. But Gjepali argues that in addition to the good for Albania, the new methodology carries a risk, and according to him, Albania should change its approach. We need to be much more active in carrying out reforms. We will not have to promise much or more than what we can do, because this will turn out to be a boomerang in the event that we fail to produce results. A higher degree of accountability of the political class is required to achieve some reforms for which not only the will of a government is sufficient, but also the involvement of institutions in politics. According to the leader of Albania's European movement, another important element in the new strategy is economic and social support for the required reforms. The methodology foresees that cost-seeking reforms will be financially supported by the European Union. Germany is the leading European effort to advance the dialogue between Kosovo and Serbia. The confirmed meeting in Berlin in March with Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić was followed by an invitation by the Kosovar government in Pristina on Saturday, February 8th. The invitation was confirmed by German Chancellor Angela Merkel in a congratulatory message sent to Kosovo Prime Minister Albin Kurti on assuming his new post. You and your government are facing difficult tasks. These include the establishment and strengthening of the rule of law, the fight against corruption and organized crime, the improvement of the economy, and in particular, the dialogue on normalizing relations with Serbia. The German government will continue to support you on this path, and it would be a pleasure to see you soon in Berlin. In an interview with Radio Free Europe, Prime Minister Kurti said at the weekend he would commit to reaching a final agreement with Serbia, but that would require symmetry or reciprocity in political, economic, and commercial terms. As it was announced, talks on these topics will no longer be led by the country's president, Hashim Thaçi. On the prospect of a quick split for bilateral divisions, Kurti thinks that the new government in Kosovo and the elections for a new cabinet in Serbia will also make prospect of a Pristina-Belgrade agreement more difficult this year. And finally, consumer prices in Albania increased by 1.5% in January compared to December, but at a lower rate than the same period last year. According to Instat, food and beverage prices, followed by rent, water, fuels, and electricity, showed the highest increases in price. In terms of transportation and furniture, the situation seems relatively unchanged. According to official data, Albanians have cut spending on hotels and restaurants, making prices slightly negligible. Regarding clothing and health, there is a decrease in price by 0.02%, but a 12-month comparison shows that prices are more sensitive, with food being 2.4% more expensive, along with entertainment and culture, water, rent, and fuel. As far as rentals are concerned, only the average food has been made public in the official Instat report. Previously, real estate agencies have reported a significant increase, especially in Tirana and Durrës, affected by rising demand following the November 26 earthquake last year. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.